Welcome to Sharika Talks, Unraveling the Truth, a journalist's quest. Subscribe for the truth.
Chapter 28, Avtomat Kalashnikova, 1947. The AK-47 was born in 1947, designed by a Russian World War II veteran named Mikhail Kalashnikov. In the world of firearms, submachine guns like the Uzi or MP5 were compact, portable, and capable of firing hundreds of rounds per minute, but they lacked range and accuracy. Long-barrel sniper rifles, such as the AXSR, had the opposite, deadly accuracy across kilometers, but they were slow, heavy, and impractical in close combat. Assault rifles bridged that gap. They fired at the speed of submachine guns while still maintaining accuracy up to nearly a kilometer. Several prototypes existed during the Second World War, but none were reliable. They jammed, German SCG-44 or the American M1, but none could withstand the mud, sand, and rain of the battlefield. When exposed to sand, water, or dust, they misfired. Sometimes they even exploded in the user's hands. Kalashnikov changed that. His AK-47 was the pinnacle of automatic weapon design, simple, cheap, and devastatingly reliable. Even after 8 decades, no rival has managed to match its performance. It could be dismantled and reassembled in minutes, fired underwater, and endure the worst battlefield conditions. Even a child could learn to use it in 1 hour. In Vietnam, American soldiers abandoned their cutting-edge AR-15 rifles, costing 100 times more than the AK, when they jammed in the mud. Instead, they picked up AKs from fallen enemies, knowing reliability was survival. Riaz had heard its thunder before. The first time was during the Mumbai terror attacks of 2005. Since then, he had learned to recognize its voice instantly. As soon as the first burst cracked through the forest, he knew what it was: an AK. He also knew its bullets could chew through steel, even aircraft fuselages. A single round hitting the fuel tank would end everything. Adam hadn't taken his foot off the accelerator since the first shot blew their tire. The Jeep, crippled but still roaring, careened down the narrow mountain path until a fallen deodar tree, massive and unmovable, blocked the way entirely. Adam slammed the brakes. Sharika felt her body lurch forward as if to fly through the spider web of cracks in the shattered windshield. She held on with all her might. The moment the Jeep screeched to a halt, the gunfire ceased. An eerie, ringing silence descended, broken only by the hiss of the overheated engine and the frantic, thunderous pounding of Sharika's own heart. The cold mountain mist, smelling of pine needles and damp earth, began to seep into the cabin. 2 figures emerged from the dense pine forest, walking slowly towards the crippled Jeep. One was a short, heavy-set man who held his rifle with a nervous energy, his eyes constantly darting. The other was thin, with a thick, unkempt beard, and moved with a calm, predatory economy of motion. They were both dressed in worn, mismatched fatigues. As they approached, Riaz saw them expertly eject their spent magazines and slap fresh ones into place with a practiced click. He knew if there had been more than 2 rifles firing, the Jeep would have already exploded. He heard the men shouting in a dialect he couldn't place. It was Adam who translated, his voice strained. "They're saying to come out with our hands above our heads. If we don't do anything stupid, they won't shoot." As they began to obey, Riaz had only one thought: protect Sharika. He glanced at her and felt a surge of admiration. In the scant seconds they had, she was quickly typing on her iPhone before getting out. He knew her high-end model supported satellite SMS. Even with no cell reception, it could connect directly to a satellite for an emergency message. Sharika felt a crushing weight of responsibility. It was her decision that had led them here. Sheila's angry words echoed in her mind. As she heard Adam's translation, she knew this was her last chance. In the shadow of her seat, she pressed the side button on her phone 5 times. 3 letters appeared on the screen. SOS, the International Distress Message. From the speed dial beside the default emergency number, she selected 2 more contacts: Sheila Bhatia and PM office hotline. The moment she hit send, she let the phone drop to the floor of the Jeep. Neurons fired at light speed in her head, her every muscle and instinct screaming for a way out. As all three of them emerged with their hands raised, the short, fat gunman started asking questions, with Adam translating. Who are you? What are you doing here? It was Riaz who did the talking. From his experience, he knew absolute truth or an absolute lie would be useless. Since Sharika had sent the message, he estimated they had 15 to 30 minutes before help, likely a helicopter from the border, could arrive. He had to buy time. We are journalists from India, he replied slowly. We're doing a documentary on Nepal. Some villagers informed us there is a Satyajit Foundation safe house on this mountain. We were going there. The bearded man looked angry. What Satyajit Foundation? There is no such thing here. This is Rakhi's territory. You have no authority here. Sharika felt a lightning bolt of vindication and terror strike her all at once. Rakhi. She was right all along. In her over-processing brain, a cold certainty formed. Sheila was hiding something. Riaz, sensing an opportunity to stall, said, I can show you our IDs. As he made a slow, deliberate move towards his pocket, the bearded man's reaction was instant. He raised his AK, shouting a sharp command. Riaz froze, putting his hands back up. The attackers seemed to be discussing among themselves. Then the message came via Adam. They say they're going to take us to Rakhi. They're going to tie us up and take us to their truck just past the roadblock. One of the men took a rope from his pocket. The other stood guard. As the man with the rope started walking towards Sharika, Riaz's eyes, trained by years behind a camera, caught it. A faint red pinprick against the southern sky. The helicopter. But a new fear struck him. If the attackers saw it, they might execute them on the spot. He had to act now. He saw Sharika had also spotted it, following his gaze. He tried to convey his plan to her and Adam with his eyes. The short, fat man held his rifle loosely, standing guard. The other man's was slung over his shoulder since he had the rope in his hand. Riaz waited for the one chance he would get. It would take just half a second's distraction from the fat man's side. He could grab the barrel and wrestle him, and he was sure Sharika and Adam could definitely defeat the other man. With almost 5 kilograms of weight, the AK would be much slower than the pocket knife he had in his right pocket, Riaz knew. The sound of the chopper was a low thrum now, growing louder. Just as the bearded man grabbed Sharika's hand to tie it, the fat gunman glanced up at the sky, distracted by the sound for a fraction of a second. Now! Riaz roared, lunging forward. He grabbed the barrel of the AK-47, wrenching it upward as he pushed the gunman off balance. The barrel was still warm to grab but manageable. Sharika, waiting for the cue, spun on the spot. To redeem the damage she had done, she moved. She grabbed the barrel of the other man's slung rifle, simultaneously raising her knee, aiming for his face as he bent down to tie her hands. But as she raised her knee, she felt the man was thrown upwards, away from her strike, as if struck by an invisible force. The next split second, she felt the whole world rising to meet her. Riaz, too, felt a strange sensation. The fat gunman was moving away too fast. The next moment, he realized a powerful force had yanked him back by the collar of his jacket. For Adam, it was a single, fluid motion. He yanked Riaz back with his left hand, while his right foot swept Sharika's heel in a perfect semicircular motion. Ashibarai. He remembered the name of the Japanese foot sweep technique. As Sharika fell, he used his free right hand to cushion her head, preventing it from colliding with the rocks on the road. Riaz, turning, had his pocket knife out, expecting to face the bearded gunman. He was stunned when he saw Adam. He still managed to swing the knife in a wild arc. Adam smiled, simply stepping aside and grabbing Riaz's forearm, his fingers pressing a precise nerve cluster just under the wrist. Medial nerve, he remembered his friend calling it. Riaz's hand went numb, the knife clattering to the ground. Adam smoothly drew a matte black Glock 17 from his hip, a reliable Austrian sidearm comparable to AKs in the world of small handguns. He pointed it calmly at Sharika, freezing them both on the spot. Then he looked up at the rapidly approaching helicopter, still smiling, the sound of its rotors now deafening. End of chapter 28.
Thank you for watching. Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest. Subscribe to stay updated on Sharika's journey. Stay tuned for the next part.
Disclaimer. Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest is a work of fiction. The experiences, ideas, and theories presented by the characters, including the books they write, are purely fictional and do not reflect real-world events, beliefs, or ideologies. While some incidents and characters may be inspired by real-world scenarios, they are entirely fictionalized for storytelling purposes. The author does not endorse or share the viewpoints expressed by any character in this novel. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or real events is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised.